down the nostrils, all throughout, and then we slowly start watching our breath mindfully. At times you will taking a short breath quite naturally. Your natural breath is such that the nature, due to biological conditions or emotional conditions, you at times naturally take a longer breath or a shorter breath, and whatever the breath it is, as long as you watch your breath mindfully, whenever the breath, a short breath occurs, and simply see that it is a short breath. When the breath is longer, simply see the breath is longer. And that's how Buddha explains the mindfulness of breath in the Satipatthana Sutta and Girimananda Sutta and many other places in his teachings. And then as you continue, some of you may enter Vipassana level on which you will dissolve all your bodily pains and mental pains by seeing them as impermanent. Some of you are very good at Vipassana, but again, there's no big gap between samatha or calm meditation and Vipassana. While some who have meditated for like 25 years find it difficult to meditate, achieve Vipassana, samatha, some those who just started meditation can very easily achieve samatha and then go to Vipassana right away. Vipassana is nothing but your ability to analytically see mental pains and physical pains and other sounds and noise that occur in your surroundings, and thanks to which, because of Vipassana, you don't feel agitated, you let go of everything. And as the bell goes one more time, we will start our silent meditation. Let's dedicate the last 3 minutes for self-metta. I know you have meditated like for 35, like the 40 minutes, and we are almost done. There are 3 minutes left, and let's do self-metta. Choose your own favorite phrase like may I be well, or may I be happy, or may I be peaceful, or may I take care of myself happily. When you are emotionally stable, you can help many other people in the world. When you are emotionally unstable, you can't even support yourself. So that's the benefit of self-metta. Let's do that. You may now slowly open your eyes, please. So today's topic is Upekha. And as you know, from today onwards, this week onwards, we will give short Dhamma talks on selected Buddhist terms. So today's term is Upekha. It's spelled Upekha, long A, pronounced R, Upekha. I know everyone is familiar with this word, Upekha. Upekha literally means, well, the real meaning of it is equanimity. But still it requires lots of clarification, and Upekha as a spiritual quality is practiced at different levels, depending on the level of meditation, depending on the kind of experience you have. You may be practicing a level of Upekha that is lower or higher than that of anyone else. So again, the real meaning of Upekha is equanimity. At times, we come across a wrong translation as well, and that wrong translation is indifference. It is not, Upekha is not indifference, it is equanimity. But let's look at indifference. What is indifference? Indifference is a sense of unconcern for others. Again, repeat. Indifference is a sense of unconcern for others. In other words, it is a cold distance that you maintain with the world. Cold at this point means mental, spiritual, emotional. And I have come across lots of people who believe that total disconnection from the society is Upekha. And they are wrong. They are mistaken. When you practice Upekha and you don't run away from the society, you don't have unconcern for others. In fact, you are very much concerned. You have deep concern for others' well-being while you think about your own well-being. What happens in the practice of Upekha is that while you don't run away from the society, while you don't disconnect yourself from the society, which is called cold distance, quote unquote, you maintain a warm relationship with the society. But anyone, you don't, and some of you might wonder if you need if you need Upekha to do that, because you feel and you know that you maintain a warm relationship with people and the society and the world anyway. But there's a difference between maintaining a warm relationship with the society without Upekha, and in doing so with Upekha. And when you, as social beings, we continue to maintain a warm relationship with people, even if it is highly selective. And then so that we want whatever the comfort we offer them, emotional comfort, whatever the comfort we offer others, our connections, and then consciously or subconsciously, we want the same back from them. At that point, that is problematic. In case they fail to offer you the comfort uh, like before, and then they don't think about you that much now, even if you have concern for them, and then they don't do that much to the level, the required level at this point, the level that you require them to have, and then you become sad. You may even get angry. That is mean you need upekka at that point. So once again, the upekka is such that you don't run away from the society, you don't disconnect yourself from the people and the world, the society, and then you never have a sense of unconcern for others. In fact, you have deep concern for others, so that it is not indifference, it is maintaining your balance, maintaining your emotional equilibrium while being a social being. If I repeat that uh, statement again, upekka is such, upekka is that you maintain a warm relationship with the world, but you don't get shaken by the world. And in case others don't think about you enough, they don't pay enough attention to you, they don't think about your well-being, but still you don't think about that. You are not concerned. That is not your concern. Your concern is such that while you maintain your mind-body health, you do whatever you can to help others have their mind-body health, to have their own harmony. So anyone can build up relationships, warm relationships, but most of the time relationships shatter. They don't last long because of what is called sensuality, sexuality, or romance involved. Whereas upekka is not a worldly principle, it's a spiritual principle. When you practice the spiritual principle of upekka, there is no room for romance, no room for sensuality, there's no room for bias, there's no room for sexuality in between. And then at that point, because upekka is then absent of such things, there'll be no problem. Even if the other party doesn't look at you, doesn't do metta to you, doesn't appreciate you, but may depreciate or belittle you, but you are not worried. Why? Upekka is not something that you expect from others. It is something that you give others. And then again, moreover, upekka is mental stability in the face of the fluctuations of worldly fortune, worldly conditions. At times we are at this point. Think about one of the discussions that we had in the past, the discussion on Attaloka Dhammas, or the 8 vicissitudes of life. At times we gain, at times we lose, at times we are praised, at times we are blamed, at times we earn reputation, at times we have bad reputation, ill reputation, and at times we are sad, at times we are joyful. And so that is called fluctuations of worldly conditions or worldly fortunes, or the Attaloka Dhammas, or the 8 vicissitudes of life. And in the face of such fluctuations, we maintain emotional or mental stability, and that is called upekha. So it is always your own personal emotional stability, and it has nothing to do with others who fail to practice upekha towards you, and it becomes none of your concern when others still agitate you, when they still try to frustrate you. And then when you practice upekha in the true sense of the word, their anger, their frustration, their ill will or jealousy, etc., directed at you becomes no concern to you. It becomes no concern to you. So that because upekha is your principle, and you do practice that. And then in a higher doctrinal sense, in a higher spiritual sense, upekha means the absence of self-reference. It is, if I repeat, upekha is the absence of self-reference. What is this self-reference? Now, self-preference is similar to a term that we very often use, our subjective nature. Remember, in the Satipatthana Sutta and in the Buddha's teaching of the 5 aggregates or Panchakhandas, and the Satipatthana Sutta, the discourse on the 4 foundations of mindfulness, and elsewhere, we come across this we come across the fact that as unenlightened beings, unenlightened humans, we remain subjective. So we have a subjective approach. Of course, in the past we had lots of dialogues, lots of discussions on the subjective approach. Here, the absence of self-preference means the absence of subjective approach to oneself and the world, to self and the world, to self and other. So when you look at yourself and the world, so that in a non-subjective way, with absence of, through the absence of self-preference. I think that is a better way to say that. When you look at yourself, your existence, your life, through the absence of self-preference, and then you are not even worried about your own existence, let alone the existence of others. And then and you continue to become selfless. Why? Again, you don't even think about your own how to say, worries, sadness. You are not worried about yourself. You don't feel sad about yourself. It is a matter of no concern to you. But again, as a compassionate person, your concern can be such that you think about other people's suffering. You still want to help others despite your own problems. And you feel like you are having a problem depending on the way you look at it. And even if you don't have a problem, you can still create one mentally, emotionally. And then so that when you let go of your worries, and then your mind becomes more free of negativities. So that is about letting go. And letting go is inseparably interconnected with upekkha. So that letting go, the opposite to the letting go is acquiring, acquisition. The more you acquire, the more you gather, the more you so that attach to things, and then you lose your inner peace. And then whereas when you let go of things, and then you leave enough space within yourself to maintain your personal mind body health, and so that you remain emotionally much more stable than many other people. At that point, you become like a saint. You can help others, and you can maintain a warm relationship with others. But again, the last thing I would like to say again is that some people who claim to practice upekkha are utterly mistaken as to the fact that they think disconnection, total disconnection from others, from the society and the world is upekkha. It's not upekkha, my friend. It is indifference. Indifference, again, is to maintain a cold distance from others. It is about it is a sense of unconcern for us. Whereas upekkha is that you are compassionate towards others. You are concerned. You concern for others. You have a sense of concern out of compassion towards others. Thank you. Any questions, please? Please unmute yourself and ask.
Good morning, Bante.
Yes.
So one of the key challenges is that it's not really unconcerned, but when you see something happening in as people living in society, sometimes you have compassion if you see something wrong, but it's the consequences of getting involved in somebody else's sort of things that you see happening. So it's very difficult to part and parcel to decide whether to help somebody or not, thinking that the consequences of that action that you may potentially do. So living in a society, it's not easy to sort of help with compassion, upekkha. So how do you have any guidance on how you can part and parcel and decide how I can help somebody without getting caught into this tangled web?
Exactly. According to general Buddhist psychology, the first thing that happens to you in such a situation is that you do get caught up. And then that's where you need to walk away from that. For example, let's say when you offer help, material or emotional or financial help to someone who needs your help, and then when as they narrate their story, narrate their sufferings to you, when they explain their problems to you, and then you become emotional.
Yes.
At times, most people even get their eyes tearful, and then sometimes you are more sad than the actual, and you are more sad than they are. So it is quite natural, because it requires lots of caring, self-care actually. What we do is, the remedy that Buddha has suggested is, and then you have to prepare yourself. When, as an enlightened person, as Buddha, the enlightened one, whenever he when he look at the world early in the morning through his meditation, whom he is going to help today, that day, and then in the way, and so that, and then he instantaneously he prepares himself where to meet that person, what to say. Even the only difference, he doesn't have to think too much about what to say. Whereas but there's a little preparation in his case as well. No offense to Buddha. He can decide instantaneously how to help out. But again, even in the case of Buddha, and there's a little bit of preparation. And so that when we decide, if we know that the party that we're going to help out today, and then it's always better to you have to do a two-step thing. First step is take a deep breath, and I am going to present myself to that party in a way that I remain higher, not superior, spiritually higher to that person. Why? Because the party that I'm going to talk to, the party that I'm going to help, is going to depend on me at that point, because I should be the sole source of help to that person. And in case I become emotional, and then so that that person, at least subconsciously, on the subconscious level, that party might might assume that I'm not in a position to help. But what always happens is, so that they are immediately, in case you become emotional or sad, and then at the first place, it gives them a positive impression. Why? You even cry, you even look sad, because you are so concerned with their well-being that you even cry, that you are even sad. But that impression doesn't last longer. That impression is not recommended. Why? In the long term, when they become less and less emotional by sharing their problem with you, and when they become emotionally more stable, they want you to be even more stable emotionally. So that, but whereas at the very beginning, it is quite natural, and in many cases inevitable, unavoidable, that you become as emotional as they are. And at times, in the long term, it is harmful. Why? Because at times you may not be able to see the speed at which you are supposed to go in helping them, and that can even lead to an unnecessary emotional relationship being made in between, and that happens a lot. But and you may even end up in Vanchanika Dhamma, or the masquerading thought. So I know lots of people. It happens to even professional counselors, and half way through they don't know that they get caught up in a relationship with their the other party. The other party being your patient, your client, or maybe a normal friend. Anyway, whosoever it is on the receiving end of your help. So it's always good to take a deep breath and prepare yourself before you start speaking to that party. Because at times certain personalities are very difficult to deal with. I have come across certain personalities, like 4 or 5 years later, I still find it difficult to talk to them. They are not willing to change. Instead, they drain your energy. That's another thing. When you practice upekkha, when you help others, and at that point, You put your own emotional stability, your own equilibrium, your own equanimity at risk as well. That's why sometimes some people who have who have achieved, earned very stable upekha are like uh, uh, but all of a sudden they explode emotionally, and then the next moment they are worried that they lost their upekha completely. And it's always good to prepare yourself case by case. But if you try to approach everyone with the same capacity of emotional strength on our side, we may not be able to do that, because we need to handle different people in a different degree of emotional strength. It's always good to know their background, if possible. So that's why if it's a verbal communication, in case you are talking to someone for the first time in your life and you had never met that person before, it's always good to have what is called Sami Chikata, chit chat, and Buddha highly recommends that. Sami Chikata. Sami Chikata is when you come across that part of the dialogue in almost every sutra. And now Buddha is entering a place where people are talking, could be his own assembly of monks, or could be another religious group, and he would simply ask, what were you talking about before my arrival? And how you are doing? Where do you come from? Why are you here today? And all that. He would always start up Sami Chikata, or a chit chat. And chit chat helps you to get exactly a fair picture, a fair sense of the kind of people or the type of personality that you're going to talk to today. So that some people, I know personally as a guidance counselor, sometimes some people are scared of facing me, either because of my attire or because of the fact that they have never seen a monk before, or even they have seen a monk because they are very shy. They never want to open up. And then I somehow managed to get them into a chit chat, Sami Chikata. And then immediately within like 2 minutes or so, I would be able to see what their interests are, what their indulgences are, what their hobbies are. Especially when I talk to young people, I very often uh, get them into a chit chat by asking them about their hobbies, in case they are still, pressing the buttons on their phone. And then I will say, okay, you are very good at typing so fast. I have never seen someone so typing that fast. Oh, really? Oh, this is how I do. And then they open up. And then always, when you present yourself as a higher authority, or like a counselor, and then it's not going to work as well. It doesn't happen. So that's the difference I have seen, the way Buddha talks to others, or in spirituality, right? You don't use an authoritative tone, and your voice is very friendly. And then in case you start up by saying like this, okay, let me suggest you first of all, and it's more like a legal phrase. It's just an authoritative tone. It's not a friendly tone. So yeah, so we take a deep breath and prepare ourselves, and then we listen to more than we talk, and then we always start with the chit chat, and then also when they are lost in their words, and we make some certain suggestions, and so that they can continue the dialogue. So those are the those are the kinds of techniques that we are supposed to use. Because otherwise, in the name of helping others, we should not lose our upekka. It happens to people a lot. They lose their upekka. And at that point, they not only drain your energy completely, they not only drain your energy, and they also go further down morally, emotionally, and so that it is like collateral damage. It is detrimental to both parties. So in practice in upekka, we must see our limits actually. If we try never to fully dedicate ourselves to helping others. Why? And that would be an open invitation to them to be codependent on others. And we become like the whole savior to them. We become like a saint or a savior to them. And so that they take it for granted. They will take it for granted and they will claim the ownership and they will say that you belong to them, him, her. And that would be a perfect case of codependency. And instead of helping them, you would have lost your upekka, your energy. And at times, you don't show your compassion, but you do have. You at times show it, not always, because you need to give them some homework as well. You need to give them some homework because whereby you show them the value of their existence, value of their life. Most of the time, those who go through suffering, they downgrade themselves. They belittle themselves, and they easily forget that they have talents, that they are able to pull themselves out of whatever the suffering or the problems so that they have been going through, and then you simply help them achieve that. So that and there's a little story from India as well, but the story of there was this how to say this merchant who had an ox cart in American terms or the bullock cart in British terms, and then so that he was an ox cart merchant. One day he was crossing a muddy road, and then his cart started sinking, and then he would beat the ox, ask the ox to push forward, and so somehow he was unable to do so. And then he prayed to his deity. As far as I remember, it was Vishnu or someone. Anyway, so there are so many gods in India. And then somehow he prayed to his he asked his patron deity, his devata, his god to appear and help. And he appeared before him right away. And then so that he didn't help him push the cart. Instead, he asked him, okay, don't beat the ox, poor animal. Instead, comfort him, touch him, and then say, son, we need to get out of this. And at the same time, before doing that, you take a deeper breath and regain your position, regain your lost strength, and then comfort the ox instead of beating it, caning it, and then at the same time, regain your lost balance, and then at the same time, okay, let's go, and then push. And then so that he was out of the muddy place. And then later, and he thanked his deity, his patron deity, and said, "Thanks, Lord, for saving me." And then he said to him, "I didn't save you, you saved yourself." The story is a Hindu story, but it sounds Buddhist. So the Buddhas are simply guides. They're simply guides. And at that point also, when you help someone, it's always good to think about yourself as a guide, to see your limits in helping others. Because you need to educate them as to the value of their strengths, their potential, which they haven't lost actually. The thing is, they are not concerned with that. Okay, thank you for asking that critical question. There cannot be a question more critical than that.
Thank you, Bhante.
Thank you. And then let's do the final the chanting. Thank you everyone for joining today's session. Thank you for meditating for like 40 minutes in silence with me. And hereafter, whenever we meet on Sunday Sunday mornings like this, I will only remind you some simple meditation guidelines, but you meditate your own way. I know you meditate a lot. You could do mindful breath, basically, and then halfway through you can incorporate self-metta into that. And you can also go to a level of vipassana by dissolving your mental, emotional pains and physical pains by looking at them as impermanent in a world that most people see. Only joy is impermanent. Joy is impermanent, but not sadness. Thank you for joining for me, and then thank you also for listening to the short Dhamma talk and asking questions. And I will now do a short chanting blessing. May you all, together with your family members and friends, be well, happy, and peaceful. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Itipiso bhagavaraham samma sambuddho vichacharana sampanno sugato lokavidu anuttaro purisa dhamma sarati satta deva manussanam buddho bhagavati swakhato bhagavata dhammo sandittiko akaliko ehi passiko panaiko paccattam vedittabbo vinnohiti supatipanno bhagavato savaka sangho jupatipanno bhagavato savaka sangho Nyaya-patipanno bhagavato savaka sangho Sami patipanno bhagavato savaka sangho Yadidang chattari purisa yugani atta purisa puggala Esa bhagavato savaka sangho Ahuneyo pahuneyo dakhineyo Anjali karaniyo anuttarang punyakhetang lokasati Mahakarunikho nato itaya sappapaninam poretva parami sappa patto sambodhimuttamang etena saccavacchena hotu te jaya mangalang jayanto bodhiya mule sakkyanang nandivattano evantu ihang jayo hotu jayassu jaya mangalang sakkatva buddharatanang Osadang uttamang varang itam deva manussanang buddha tejena sottina nassantu paddava sappe dukkha upasamintu te sakkatva dhammaratanang Osadang uttamang varang parilavupasamanang dhamma tejena sottina Nassantu pattava sabbe bhaya upasamentu te sakkatva sangharatanang osadhang uttamang varang ahuneyang pahuneyang sanghate jena sottina Nassantu pattava sabbe roga upasamentu te ankinchiratanang loke Vidyati vividha puto ratanam buddha samannatti tasmasotti bhavantu te ankinci ratanam loke Vidyati vividha puto ratanam dhamma samannatti tasmasotti bhavantu te yankinci ratanam loke Vidyati vividha puto ratanam sangha samannatti tasmasotti bhavantu te Natti me saranang anyang buddho me saranang varang etena saccavacchena hotu te jaya mangalang Natti me saranang anyang dhammo me saranang varang etena saccavacchena hotu te jaya mangalang Natti me saranang anyang Sangho me saranang varang etena saccavacchena hotu te jaya mangalang Sappitiyo vivajjanto sapparogo vinassato mate bhavatvantarayo sukhe dekayuko bhavattu sappamangalang rakkantu sappadevata sappabuddhanubhavena sada sotti bhavantu te bhavatu sappamangalang rakkantu sappadevata Sabba Dhammanubhavena Sada Sotti Bhavantu Te Bhavatu Sabba Mangalang Rakhantu Sabba Devata Sabba Sanghanubhavena Sada Sotti Bhavantu Te Yandun Nimittang Avamangalancha Yocha Manapo Sapunasya Satto Papakaho Dusupinang Akantang Buddhanubhavena Vinasaminto Yandun nimittang avamangalang ca yoca manapo sapunassa sattu papaggaho dusupinang akantang dhammanubhavena vinasamintu Yandun nimittang avamangalang ca yoca manapo sapunassa sattu papaggaho dusupinang akantang Sanghanubhavena vinasamintu dukkhapatta ca nidukkha bhayapatta ca nibhaya Sokapatta jani soka huntu sabbe pipanino sabbe tu cakkavalesu yakha deva ca brahmano yang amme katang punyang sabba sampatti sadakang sabbe tang anumoditva samakka sasane rata pamadarahita huntu Arakka suvisesato sasanassa ca lokassa buddhi bhavatu sabbada Sasanam pechalo kancha devarakkantu sappada saddin huntu sukhi sabbe parivare hi attano anigha sumana huntu sa sabbe hi nyatibi prajato va chorato va manussato va amanussato va agito va udakato va pisachato va kanukato va kantakato va nakkattato va janapadarogato va Asadhammato va sanditthito va sappurisato va chandhatyastamigago nakukura ahivichika manisapadipi acchataraccha sukara maisa yakkarak sadihi nana bhayato va nana rogato va nana upadavato va arakkangan hantu akasatta chabummatta Devanaga Mahitika Punyantang Anumoditva Chirang Rakkantu Lokasasanang Akadatta Chagumatta Devanaga Mahitika Punyantang Anumoditva Chirang Rakkantu Desanang Akadatta Chagumatta Devanaga Mahitika Punyantang Anumoditva Chirang Rakkantu Twang Satati Sabbe Buddha Balappatta Pacchekanan Balang Arahanta Manchate Jena Rakhang Bandhami Sabba So. May all be well, happy, and peaceful, and have a beautiful day. Thank you very much.